What you are about to hear is not a war game scenario. It is not a classified simulation run inside a Pentagon basement. It is not a hypothetical discussed in military think tanks. It is real. It is operational. And as of right now, tonight, America has no answer for it. 27 cargo aircraft, 14 days of continuous airlift, 3 Russian military airfields, $900 million, and a weapons package that the Pentagon, in a classified directive issued to every regional commander in the Middle East, has privately admitted it cannot defeat. Russia just handed Iran the keys to the entire battlefield, and in doing so, Vladimir Putin has accomplished something that 40 years of Iranian military spending, 40 years of sanctions, and 40 years of American dominance could not undo in 14 days and $900 million. I'm George Will. Tonight we take you inside the most dangerous military transfer since the Cold War, what Russia delivered, why America is already retreating, and what this means for every American soldier, sailor, and pilot operating in the Middle East right now. Stay with us, because the era of unchallenged American military dominance in this region ended when those aircraft landed, and the world is only just beginning to understand what that means. Let us go through exactly what landed in Iran, because the details are not just numbers on a page. Every single specification, every range, every speed, every accuracy figure translates directly into dead American pilots, sunk American warships, and destroyed American bases. This is not abstract, this is arithmetic, and the arithmetic is terrifying. First, the S-400 Triumph air defense system. 4 complete battalions, 32 launchers, 384 interceptor missiles, detection range 600 kilometers, engagement range 400 kilometers. This is the system that NATO has spent a decade trying to counter and has never, not once, successfully penetrated in combat conditions. Within 400 kilometers of those launchers, every American aircraft at every altitude faces missiles traveling at Mach 12. The S-400 launches 4 missiles per target to guarantee a kill probability that exceeds 95%. Every aircraft America sends into Iranian airspace has a significant, not possible, significant probability of not returning. Second, the Iskander-M tactical ballistic missile system. 24 launchers, 96 missiles, range 500 kilometers, accuracy 5 meters, not 50 meters, not 500 meters, 5 meters. It travels at Mach 6 to Mach 7, maneuvers violently during its terminal phase, and carries a 700-kilogram warhead that destroys anything it hits. And here is what 500 kilometers means in practice. Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar, within range. Al Dhafra Air Base in the UAE, within range. Camp Arifjan in Kuwait, within range. Every aircraft, every fuel depot, every ammunition storage facility, every command center at every American base in the Gulf, within range of a weapon that no American defensive system has ever intercepted, not in testing, not in exercises, not in combat, never. Third, the Bastion P coastal defense system. 8 launchers, 64 P-800 Onyx missiles traveling at Mach 2.5 at sea-skimming altitude with a range that covers the entire Persian Gulf from Iranian soil. The USS Abraham Lincoln Carrier Strike Group is in the Arabian Sea right now. 5,000 American sailors, $13 billion of warship. Simulations show that a salvo of 12 or more Onyx missiles approaching from multiple directions simultaneously would saturate the Aegis combat system. Some would be intercepted, not all would be intercepted, and Iran has 64 ready to fire. And then the component that makes all of this exponentially more lethal, the Nebo-M radar complex, a mobile radar system that detects stealth aircraft at ranges exceeding 600 kilometers. The F-35, America's $1.7 trillion stealth investment. The aircraft that was supposed to be invisible. The Nebo-M sees it at 600 kilometers. The F-35 stealth, designed to fool older radar systems, provides limited protection against the Nebo-M's multi-band tracking. America spent $1,700 billion on invisibility. Russia made it visible for $900 million. But here is what makes this delivery truly strategic rather than merely tactical. Russia did not just send the hardware, Russia sent the integration. Every one of these systems is networked. Every one of these systems talks to every other system in real time through the NEBO-M radar at the center of the web. And what that integration produces is a kill chain so complete, so automated, and so lethal that it has no parallel anywhere in the Middle East. Until now. Here is what happens the moment an American aircraft crosses into range. The NEBO-M detects it at 600 kilometers. That detection data flows simultaneously to the S-400, which allocates interceptor missiles and calculates launch solutions, and to the Iskander batteries, which calculate whether the aircraft originated from a base within their 500-kilometer strike range. If it did, and almost every American base in the Gulf is within that range, Iskander missiles launch toward that base while the aircraft is still inbound toward Iran. The American pilot is flying a strike mission. His home base is being destroyed while he is in the air. If he survives the S-400 engagement, he returns to a runway that no longer exists. This is integrated warfare. This is how Russia fights, and Russia just taught Iran how to do it. The Bastion P receives real-time maritime surveillance data from Russian satellite networks that Iran now has access to. Every ship in the Persian Gulf is tracked. Every carrier position is known. Every movement is logged. The Persian Gulf, which American carriers have dominated for 40 years, sailing through its waters with total confidence, is now contested. Not theoretically contested, actually contested. The ships are moving because staying is too dangerous. The Pentagon received confirmation of the delivery 72 hours ago. The response was not a press conference. It was not a diplomatic protest. It was not the usual theater of official concern that accomplishes nothing. It was an emergency classified directive to all regional commanders containing 7 words that tell you everything about what this delivery means. 7 words that represent the most significant admission of American military vulnerability since the Vietnam War. Those words were, assume all offensive operations are now contested. And the consequences have been immediate and visible to anyone paying attention. CENTCOM has issued operational pause directives for all non-essential missions within S-400 range. American aircraft have stopped flying toward Iran, not because someone ordered a stand down, because pilots and commanders are refusing to fly missions with the threat profiles that now exist. This is not cowardice, this is mathematics. Sending a $100 million aircraft and a trained pilot into an environment where the probability of loss exceeds acceptable thresholds is not courage. It is waste. And the American military does not waste assets on operations that cannot succeed. The USS Abraham Lincoln, which was operating 400 kilometers from the Strait of Hormuz just 96 hours ago, is now 1,200 kilometers away and still moving further. The geometry of Bastion P coverage has made close approach tactically indefensible. You cannot project power if you cannot approach the projection zone. Meanwhile, the diplomatic response has been chaos. The Secretary of State summoned the Russian ambassador within 6 hours. The meeting lasted 34 minutes. The Russian ambassador stated calmly that Russia's military cooperation with sovereign nations is not subject to American approval, and that the weapons are defensive in nature and pose no threat to nations that do not attack Iran. That statement is technically accurate and strategically devastating. And now the Allies are recalculating. Saudi Arabia has requested emergency consultations with Washington, asking whether American security guarantees are still valid when American forces can no longer operate freely against Iranian threats. Israel has gone into full strategic reassessment. The strike packages against Iranian nuclear facilities that Israeli military planners have developed and refined for decades just became dramatically more costly. S-400 coverage now extends across every approach road, and success is no longer assured. The UAE has quietly opened back channels to Tehran. The alliance structure America built in the Gulf over 40 years is reconsidering its foundations. And the reconsidering is happening because of $900 million of Russian hardware. For 40 years, American strategy in the Middle East has rested on one fundamental assumption: American military technology is superior to anything adversaries possess. That superiority allows power projection. Power projection allows influence. Influence allows outcomes favorable to American interests. That assumption just died in a cargo hold. The weapons Russia delivered are not inferior to American equivalents. In some critical areas, they are superior. The S-400 is more capable than the American Patriot system. The Iskander has flight characteristics that no American tactical missile can match. The Bastion P is a naval threat that American defensive systems are not optimized to counter. Russia spent 20 years watching American military operations, studying tactics, analyzing vulnerabilities, developing systems specifically engineered to defeat American strengths, and then Russia handed those systems to America's primary regional adversary. For $900 million, that is the most strategically efficient investment in modern military history. Here is what this means in plain terms. Every strike mission against Iran now requires calculating significant aircraft losses, not possible losses, significant losses. Every naval deployment near Iran now requires calculating the possibility of sunk ships and thousands of American sailors at the bottom of the Gulf. Every base in the region now faces the possibility of complete destruction from Iskander missiles accurate to 5 meters. The planning assumptions that guided American military operations for a generation no longer apply, and no one in Washington has yet figured out what assumptions should replace them. And here is the part that makes this truly dangerous. The knowledge that American offensive operations have become dramatically more costly changes Iranian behavior. Iran can be more aggressive because Iranian leadership now understands that American retaliation is no longer automatic. When retaliation means losing aircraft and pilots, losing ships and sailors, losing bases and soldiers, the calculus changes. America has spent decades deterring Iranian aggression through superior military capability. Russia just gave Iran the capability to deter American response. The leverage has flipped, and the consequences of that flip will play out across every conflict, every negotiation, every crisis in the Middle East for the next decade. The military balance of the Middle East did not shift gradually. It did not shift through years of diplomacy or decades of development or slow erosion of American influence. It shifted in 27 cargo flights. It shifted in $900 million of Russian hardware. It shifted because Vladimir Putin decided that American power in this region had lasted long enough, and because he found the cheapest, most efficient way imaginable to end it. The weapons are delivered. The systems are operational. The integration is complete. The counter systems that could defeat them do not yet exist in the American arsenal, and the threat exists now, tonight, as you watch this. I'm George Will. This has been our special report on Russia's $900 million weapons delivery to Iran and the end of unchallenged American military dominance in the Middle East. Stay with your channel for continuous coverage as this crisis develops. Share this report, because what happened in those 27 cargo flights will define the next decade of global security, and the world deserves to know. The stories they don't want you to find are already on this channel. Tap the video on your screen. The truth is waiting.